There are no shortcuts to building wealth today. It takes time, effort, sacrifice, and diversification. But today, diversification means something different than it did in the past. You deserve a more secure way to protect and grow your wealth. At Delta Harbour, we take this to heart. Our mission is to help by inviting you to add physical gold and silver to your wealth strategy. Book a free consultation today and let us show you how to protect and grow your wealth through the ownership of physical gold and silver. Let us show you the Delta difference. Hey everybody, welcome once again to Hard Money. Darren Long is here. John Scholes here as well. Good to have you along. Reaching out anytime to Delta Harbour. That is deltaharbour.com. Harbour with a U, because this entire thing is about you. So make that phone call, 1-888-335-8645. Get Darren and his crew on the job. If you're not familiar with hard assets, physical gold and silver, other precious metals, it is high time to get educated about all of that. We will get into some detail as far as how that's offered to you later on the show. Darren, as we always do, we're going to talk about real estate and possible a peak of the housing market. I know you got a couple articles you want to open up in that regard, but first, a little bit of a week that was. Recap the last week, brother. How are you?
Well, great week. Weather's fantastic. Going into a long weekend. There's talk, although we're not quite there yet, that we could by end of summer be seeing some real outdoor activities happening, maybe. Yeah. And that gets everybody excited, John. It gets everybody enthusiastic for what lies ahead. We've been very patient. We have definitely been so, it's hard to say, emotional about this time. And welcoming people into the fold here at Delta is never an easy thing to do under these circumstances. But the truth is, John, it's been a very, very fast-paced environment. We want to welcome everybody that's come aboard to Delta. And we certainly, in the week that was, would like to highlight a couple of those topics, especially, as you said, peak real estate. We might be there. I'm going to talk about it today's show. And gold and silver. Gold trading right now around just below 1,900 an ounce, which is amazing. We broke through last week, and silver broke through 27 and right through 27.50, the last bit of resistance, and all the way through 28. And we hovered through 28 until Tuesday afternoon, and then we pulled back a little bit, which is to be expected. And as we tape the show here, end of week, we're seeing silver in the 785 range, and gold in the 1880 range, almost 1900. So very exciting week all around, and a flurry of activity here in terms of our phone lines. So they've been very busy. So a big thank you to everyone that has come aboard.
Again, guys, 1-888-335-8645. If just only to get the conversation started with Darren or a member of the team, don't hesitate. It'll cost you nothing just to have a conversation. But move on to what we're talking about, pal. This is pretty exciting stuff.
Well, again, with respect to where we're heading on today's show, John, it's of great interest to me, all hard assets. We talk here at Delta, and my partners, Rob and Roy, we discuss these topics on a day-to-day basis. And gold and silver is just one of the areas we happen to be experts in, and we offer that to our clients. But we are fans of all hard assets, including real estate and land development and commercial and residential real estate, and all these things that play into hard assets and what has typically been great in terms of investing over the last little while. Now, as everybody knows, and as fans of the show, or has read our articles or has followed along with us over the years, it's only one part, gold and silver, and in real estate's only one other part. There are other hard assets. We find collectibles and other realms of hard assets, tangible, holding your hand assets that have been performing extremely well. But of great interest to us right now is this idea of peak house. And so I brought with us this week an article that I wrote, and will be going out to all of our clients this week. Okay. So if you want on that list, certainly, we welcome new clients all the time. But if you'd like to get the newsletter and get a glimpse of that article, please just go to the website and register for that. But the idea here, John, is really simple. It looks that month over month, we've got the first set of indicators that would point towards the possibility of what we think is peak house. And by peak house, we mean simply that the high price in this particular cycle for real estate may be upon us. And despite the fact that we're going into the warm summer months, The first bit of evidence that suggests we're at peak house is the fact that April should be, by tradition, the hottest selling month of the year on average. And if we look at the numbers, what it told us is that there was about a 13-14% drop in listings and transactions over the month of March to April. So April, in fact, was not that same traditional hot month that it has always been. And this certainly brings about the idea that we have to discuss on today's show, which is for those that are in real estate, thinking of buying real estate or using real estate as a means to an end in terms of investment, it may be time to consider other hard assets along with that real estate. So that's the first idea here in Peak House, John. And bringing this is to the public is never an easy thing. It's a sensitive topic because as we speak, John, you well know there are a lot of people listening to the show that are about to buy a house as a speculative thing. And you need to be cautious right now because that fear of missing out, we call it FOMO. We write about it all the time, is very strong. And in fact, the first big sign of this not being the hottest month, April, is just but one warning sign shot across the bow. There are others, especially we talked about interest rates going higher, and that is playing a role in kind of pushing us in that direction. So we've started to watch. The radar is turned on, so to speak. And there is a lot here of writing on the wall that's suggesting we may be, if the numbers hold to where they are, at peak house.
You know, it's interesting too, because, you know, in the last few months, mainly because of the pandemic, COVID-19, there's been this huge exiting of city centers to more rural locations. People assuming, hey, I've been working from home. It's been ordered by the province. I have a decent Wi-Fi connection. I'm going to go buy a farm and leave downtown Toronto. Well, when this all ends, there's a lot of employers already saying, guys, come on back. We're still paying rent down here. We still have office towers. We still have geography and square footage we got to fill. So there may be some sort of hybrid solution, but a lot of employers and a lot of employees are going to be called back. And that's going to be a huge, it could be potentially a disastrous way for real estate. When people try to get back into a market where they exited, they won't be able to get back in. That's going to be a problem. So that particular asset class for them, this little nest egg, might not be a reality.
Well, not only that, but I believe right now that it is definitely going to be a problem. And work from home, John, I think it's going to end. We're going to have it as a theme, and where it promotes productivity growth in product or service that you're working for in terms of the company that's allowed you to work from home, that'll continue. But there is a lot more stories coming to the forefront now in which we're seeing the detriments of working from home and how people are, in some cases, abusing that privilege of working from home by not being committed to their projects or by doing side projects in addition to what they're doing for their employer.
Sure.
A lot of articles being written about that right now. And ultimately, that idea that we could leave the suburbs, the place, the core of everything in Toronto in favor of the work from home with good internet up north or in the suburbs somewhere. That idea was just a moment in time. And when this pandemic ends, and it is going to, there is going to be a mad rush back to that core. And I believe it, and I would stake my opinions have been very strong towards that idea that we are going to go back to the core. And I'd stake a steak dinner on it. Let's put it that way. And so I believe wholeheartedly that work from home ends, but I believe that all of these changes lead and point us to the next part of what's going to happen, which is recession, the potential for recession. And we're going to talk in the next segment about this article, more about this article I wrote this week, and a BNN article on the loonie, and the reasons why it's fantastic right now to be buying gold and silver with a lower exchange rate in your favor, and what it means to have a very, very high valued loonie as it relates to gold and silver and hard assets in general.
All right, let's get into it after a short break. In the meantime, 1-888-335-8645 to reach out by phone to Darren and his team. Rob or Roy, they'll have a chat with you. DeltaHarbor.com, Harbor with a U, because this whole product is about you and hard assets, and lots more on the way. Just getting warmed up here on Hard Money on Sauga 960. Hey, welcome back to Hard Money. Let's keep this going. We got so much to talk about on the show today. Darren, reaching out to Darren and his team, really simple, 1-888-335-8645. Pick up the phone, make the call, talk about hard assets. If this is an arena that you don't have much experience, well, that's why you make the phone call and why you go online. DeltaHarbor.com. Harbor with a U is how you reach out. We are talking about hard assets and a whole portfolio of which could be yours. You just got to get educated. You got to make that phone call and improve your portfolio for sure, because you might be in dire straits one day, Darren, and real estate maybe be a part of it. But again, there's a balancing act when it comes to that as well. You had an article you wanted to talk about this time from BNN, right?
I did, and it's
Yeah.
again, balance, John, is the key.
Yep.
We want to make sure people understand we're not touting the notion of cutting out any one hard asset
Right.
any more than we are saying that you shouldn't be invested in the stock market or traditional assets. What we are saying is balance is the key. We're in a different time and space, and the first cycle of commodities and hard assets, that super cycle that we talked about last week on the show between 2002 2011, was a very, very significant learning opportunity for people, because we're now about to repeat that cycle, and we're seeing the second super cycle. Seeing one in your lifetime, if you were alive during the 70s, that's amazing. It's nothing short of incredible in terms of what it could have brought in value to your portfolio. Seeing two in a lifetime is unheard of, and three is a miracle. And yet here we are. And that's how extreme these times are, John. The amount of money that's been printed and flushed into the system that has not hit the street yet. The talks of inflation that we've discussed over the last few weeks, the threat of inflation, the idea that there are many sectors that are costing a lot more in terms of their goods and services right now. And although some huge proponents, I listened to some on this very station, discuss the notion that inflation isn't really a serious threat yet, to me, it is. To me, my bottom line is being crunched more and more month over month. My purchasing power is decreasing. And when we talk about that, obviously, currencies play a role in determining what the value of our dollar is. And this week, BNN did, in fact, release an article, and they talked about the quandary they say we find ourselves in with our loonie strengthening. And obviously that has a role to play on the macro level, and people don't think about it, John. We go about our day-to-day lives and it's not of any concern to us, but in the grand scheme of things, the value of our loonie is a huge important thing. Sure. And that means, it impacts our debt and how we pay back that debt, especially to other countries and people we borrowed from, or where there are trade imbalances, surpluses and imbalances. And ultimately, you have to be cognizant of that in terms of your own wealth. So when we talk about the loonie, of course, everybody probably remembers the last time in 2010 or so that we went to par, which hadn't happened for a very, very long time prior to that. But because of these unique circumstances we find ourselves in, and where the U.S. is right now, the U.S. dollar is weakening. It's not our economy getting stronger. It's not the potential of our economy getting stronger. This is the basket of currencies that are strengthening against the U.S. dollar, from the British pound to the Japanese yen, the Swedish krona, and so on and so forth, the euro and everything, because the U.S. dollar itself is weakening. And as that happens, it has a relationship that has over hundreds, even thousands of years with the head currency, or the reserve currency of the time. It has a relationship directly with gold. And so when that reserve currency, in this case the US dollar, weakens, we tend to see, in fact, always, it historically has always happened, we tend to see gold prices surge. And that's exactly what went hand in hand with the move up in gold towards 1900 an ounce this week. A very vital mental block was 1800. We went right beyond that and almost to 1900 now. And ultimately, that US dollar is weakening. So BNN pointed out some unique points as it relates to this, because we have an economy in which the loonie is strengthening at a time in which BNN points out that, and I quote, "The economy is already brimming with stimulus and may hit full capacity as early as this year, according to some economists. Elevated commodity prices are driving up the currency and longer-term rates, potentially crowding out other key sectors that may struggle to compete under a stronger Canadian dollar. The loonie is the best performing major currency this year and is near a 6-year high. 5-year bond yields are the highest in the group of 10. That means policymakers could face pressure to slow development, curb capital inflows and stem foreign exchange gains, as is usually the case in Canada when commodities boom. So that is, for me, very fearful to see, read, write about, hear. And it is a significant role player when we're talking about where we see commodity prices going, because the risk on assets are now coming off, and the risk off assets like gold and silver are now starting to rally. And that means they could separate themselves from the rest of the commodities space. But in the meantime, that threat of potential slowdown in the economy once it peaks, it's real. We saw it in 2008 and 2009. It didn't feel as bad back then for whatever reason. There were a number of them. We didn't really have the same experience as the US, but because of the strong housing sector and it being the largest portion of our economy, that threat is real, and you have to have assets like gold and silver, in my opinion, to protect yourself, because those assets flourish during times of uncertainty. We see a recession coming, higher interest rates coming. All these things lead and point to potential of higher inflation. That's exactly what happened from 2002 to 2011, where silver, in fact, increased in value. I wrote about it in the article. The actual increase itself was about 1,100%, John.
Damn.
And
Wow.
Also, too, gold up 750% between 2002 to 2011. So these assets crave this environment. They're great for your portfolio. They don't have as much volatility as people think they do, because these are liquid instruments. You can sell them on a phone call. But again, these are the types of assets that we deal here at Delta in, and we think our clients should be part of, making the money, putting it into their accounts, protecting their wealth using the insurance of gold and silver.
Again, I want to throw some contact as we continue here, Darren. 1-888-335-8645 to reach out, have that conversation. DeltaHarbor.com with the U. You know, you and I have been working together for a lot of years. And one thing, you know, you mentioned inflation and all these different things changing like it did before. You used to do that basket of goods. And it was a fascinating thing you used to do, where you go out and get some, you know, general commodities and things that people use and shop for every day, and do a comparative pricing to the way things are going. And that can be a scary thing. Remember doing that? We should do that again.
You know what? I haven't stopped. I do it in September. That's when we do it. That's cool. Traditional month that we do. And we'll talk more about it when we come back from break, as well as our product types and accounts and things of that nature. We haven't even mentioned how to get an account open at Delta, but it is something that's very important, John, because people take for granted the fact that when we talk about inflation, they throw these little adjectives in front of them, like momentary inflation, or it's they use the term in the US this week, I forget the term, but basically just denoting the fact that perhaps it's just momentary. It's not going to last. It's not really something we have to worry about or be fearful of. Well, in measuring a basket of goods, 25 to 30 shopping everyday goods, there has not been a year in which that basket has risen less than 5% since I've been doing it. And I started that basket in 2009. So year over year has never failed to meet or go higher than 5% increase, which tells me that's food items. But I mean, again, how we measure inflation, it's wrong. So ultimately, that's a slap in the face for those that would say inflation has never been an issue. It's always been an issue. It's just we don't pay attention to it as much. It's a silent killer of our wealth. It takes our wealth and our purchasing power, and gold and silver are the ways to protect against that.
Well, you mentioned about how to get an account open and start doing that. So it is high time we did that on this show for this hour. So we will do so after a short break. In the meantime, write it down, 1-888-335-8645 to reach out to Darren and the team, and DeltaHarbor.com, Delta Harbor with a U. And we'll continue. This is Hard Money on Sauga 960. Hey, welcome back to Hard Money. Darren Long is here, John Scholes as well, discussing what you do best at Delta Harbor. Darren, that is hard assets, gold, silver, and the like. You want to reach out, DeltaHarbor.com. That is Harbor with the U, because this entire process, this part of your portfolio, is all designed for you. So you can go to the website to get more information. Contact by phone, 1-888-335-8645. Okay, let's talk about it, because we've taken long enough to bait everybody's breath with this one, Darren. Let's talk about what you offer, what's most popular, where people can go with these hard assets. How do they get that portfolio happening?
Well, for people, John, that are looking to get gold and silver, let's talk popular products. The most common products in physical form in gold are the 1 ounce Royal Canadian Mint bars and the 1 ounce Royal Canadian Mint gold maple leaf coins.
Nice.
You'll see photos of that if you follow us on Instagram or any of our social platforms. You will see we post pictures of product all the time so that people get an idea of what it looks and feels like. And we do videos on our YouTube channel, so I highly recommend people subscribe to that YouTube channel and get some more insight on that, as well as our show and podcast there. But ultimately, when we're talking product, and I'll have our production team here slice in some photos for those watching on YouTube, the video version of this show. The products from the Mint are vast, but our best selling products in gold, the 1 ounce gold bar, it is vacuum sealed, has a serial number on it. It comes with a say, which means it's been tested for purity. It's good delivery, which means it meets the criteria or exceeds the criteria set out by the LBMA, which is the London Bullion Market Association. Yep. And they defined that criteria. And those that are on that list for good delivery in gold include the mints, but among them are our most popular products by far. By far, we do see kilo bars in gold. However, those were far more popular prior to COVID, because during COVID, the world demand for 1 kilo gold bars increased dramatically. So we don't see that as often. But those two products are very, very good products, and they come through this office like wildfire. In our storage vault, clients have that type of product going to them all the time. In silver, John, the most popular product is, I would say, a combination of both the 1 ounce silver maple leaf coins, as well as the 10 ounce Royal Canadian Mint silver bars and the 100 ounce silver bars from Royal Canadian Mint. We'll show pictures of that. We did on last week's show. I know we put the 100 ounce silver bar up there. Awesome. But ultimately, those products are the most frequently used products here, whether people are taking delivery of that product, whether it's being stored in a depository account, or whether they're putting it into a registered account, which is also stored, maybe a TFSA or an RSP, using up that unused and untapped potential to keep your earnings, capital gains free in the TFSA or in the RSP. Obviously, different set of tax incentives and benefits there, but you can own physical gold and silver. I mean, in silver, you're buying something, John, that has risen 75% in 12 months, 75% higher in price in 12 months. And it doesn't get talked about, doesn't get discussed. People say it's, you can't live in it, you can't sleep in it, you can't eat it, it doesn't pay dividends. All those things are true, but those are inconsequential because you're owning silver and gold, A, for earning potential, B, insurance for your wealth. So you're using all your traditional assets. You should have a store of value with those, which is, for me, going to be gold and silver. And gold, also like silver, is the same type of asset. In the last 12 months, gold has also risen dramatically, and gold on the precipice of breaking through its all-time high yet again, which would be the third or fourth time in 12 months that it's done that. And once it does, I believe the path to 3,000 an ounce is set in stone. So we will see ultimately that occur. And, from our perspective, those products can all be put together in an account. It's very easy. If you're a listener of this show, if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel and watching that way, it's very, very easy to get opened at Delta Harbour. You can simply use our website, or you can certainly give us a call directly using the numbers that you give out so eloquently, John, and hopefully people will use them and get in contact with us. And they've been doing that so far during this show, so they'll keep going.
Again, 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com is the way you do that. Yeah, speaking about those, I want to get into the difference between the physical asset and the paper, which I know you're not a huge fan of, and we'll discuss the reasons why. But do you think part of the reason those particular bars and coin sizes, whether it's gold and silver, do you think the reason why that's the hot spot for a lot of investors and a lot of clients is ease of liquidity? Because it's smaller amounts, they can move it around faster, buy it and sell it on a phone call. Maybe it's easier to store, maybe it's easier to take home. Is that all the factors why that particular niche of coin and bar are so popular?
Well, it's a question that gets asked frequently, John, and people come to us without really knowing exactly what they want.
Right.
And some people buy the coin simply because it's something they know, they're familiar with, they've seen pictures of it, and probably have maybe in their lifetime even held or had one before, had a relative that had one before. So that's generally speaking where people start. But as they develop that sense of what they're looking to own and reasons why you own it, I think what they understand is that there are premiums involved in buying gold and silver. You don't get that price quoted on the news every night. We don't get that price quoted on the news every night. Nobody gets that price. That is the paper price, and it's called the spot price, and it's used as reference. But when you're ultimately buying a physical piece of silver or gold, there has to be taken into consideration the premiums that are involved, not only just the bit of profit that the dealer will make, that margin, but also too, the coins themselves take some preparation to make and create, stamp, if you will. And so sometimes people make the decision based on buying something that has lower premiums. The bars generally have lower premium than the coins do, because the coins have more involved in stamping and printing those things. But ultimately, yeah, John, when it comes to the paper versus physical argument, there's no two ways about it. We have a problem in our society in accepting certain truths as they are, and we should challenge them all the time, because in gold and silver, we don't have a really good understanding of what that difference between paper and physical is. Most people that are buying a stock, a mining firm, if you will, they believe they own physical gold, in a sense, an extension. But ultimately, they own a company, and they own the company's ability to manage their business in that stock that they own, not the physical asset itself. So there are instances where companies will explode in value. A mining stock might go way up in value because the company did something great or found more gold. And there are instances where gold will go much higher, but on the whole, gold and silver in the physical form have outperformed the paper market in at least my 17 years that I've been here. And also, too, when we come back from break, we have to take another break, but when we do come back from break, John, I would like to discuss more about those differences between the paper and the physical, and let people know why we believe so much in the fact that you should own physical gold and silver, not paper.
You're probably interested already in at least getting some answers, or at least go about starting a portfolio with Darren and Delta Harbour, and answer some of the questions that may have arisen as well. 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com, Delta Harbour with a U, and we'll continue right here. More Hard Money is on the way on Sauga 960. Hey, welcome back to Hard Money. Let's keep going here. Here is the numbers and the website I'll give out to you. You want to get some information from Darren and his team. Really simple. 1-888-335-8645, deltaharbor.com. Harbor with a U. We were, just as we got to the end of the previous segment, Darren, talk about gold and silver hard assets, but it's the physical, the actual metal you can hold and store and hold in your hand versus the paper, silver and gold, and some of the pitfalls and warnings that should be about having the paper version instead. Continue on that thought, will you?
Well, once upon a time when we started in this business a long time ago, back in 2002, there was a significant misunderstanding between paper and physical. In fact, most clients coming to us at day one, they weren't coming to us with any questions about physical at all. They didn't even question whether the product was there or existed. They didn't want to see it. It was just, can I buy some gold? Sure, no problem. Great. Okay, well, we'll take care of that for you. And although we had been vaulting since day one, the question never arose, do you want to see your product or actually touch it or hold it? Sure. So that kind of got us thinking about how many years and decades people had been really just invested in the idea that paper was an acceptable alternative. They might have owned certificates, and more recently ETFs and things of that nature. And although there has been a lot of discussion about these paper vehicles, the one factor that ties them all in is they're either not able to be audited, or you cannot physically see the holdings they have in an ETF, for example, or B, if they do have physical holdings, they make it near impossible for you as an investor to take small amounts out of that basket. So in the case of the two big ones in Canada, both of them, and I'm not going to give them any advertisement for the sakes of this show. Both of them make it very difficult for the average investor to take, 5 or 10 ounces of gold out of their holdings, or in silver, if they want a few hundred ounces. They make it very difficult to do that. This is where Delta comes in. We looked at those problems. Certificates are another one. Banks issue certificates all the time. Do you get to see the product? If you're being charged storage, do you know that the product is actually there and physical? Is it transportable? Can I take a bank certificate and sell it somewhere else to a coin dealer or an investment firm like us? You cannot. They are not transportable. They are not transferable either. And ultimately, that's some of the pitfalls that we deal with, because when a bank closes its doors for a day, or if it, God forbid, ever went belly up like in the US, those certificates are dead. And likewise, if an ETF goes belly up, or if the stock markets start to plunge, paper assets go all in the same direction. We've proven time and time again historically that the data shows, if you're invested in something that you think is gold and silver in paper form, and the markets as a whole, the stock markets start to break down during recession, during uncertainty, during a significant flip of the switch in terms of debt or anything that's led up to those problems before, the valuation of those assets generally goes down. And while I would suggest that there is always the strong possibility all assets can drop when there's significant uncertainty, like we saw in 08, 09, gold and silver in the physical form were among the fastest to repel back up that previous pricing high. And ultimately, that has a lot to do with the fact that people felt it was tangible, hold in your hand wealth that they could put in a safety deposit box, they could put in their sock drawer, that they could store with Delta, put in their registered accounts, TFSAs, RSPs, liras, RIFs, and use other money to do it. So ultimately, we have those options available to clients, but the reasons for owning gold and silver, they're as strong as ever. We're seeing all kinds of demand pick up. And so there is a very important discussion that has to be had about the differences between paper and physical.
1-888-335-8645, the number to reach out by a phone call to Darren and his team for sure. DeltaHarbor.com. Tell me a little more about your accounts, Darren, because I know there's a whole menu of them, and something there's going to be something in there that's going to fit for everybody, right?
I believe there is, John. And ultimately, as we mentioned a little bit earlier in the show, the most common account is simply just a direct delivery account. You just buy some gold, you take delivery of it. Anything over 1,000 for our firm is free of charge in terms of shipping. And we do curbside pickup, so you are able to come by and pick your product up. We don't store product on site here at the office, but we do bring it in for days where we know we're going to be delivering. You can pick it up also from the depository. Under normal conditions, you can meet one of us there and get your product right there and then, or likewise drop off product if you want to have it stored and you already have it at home. So that's the direct delivery option. The storage option is pretty simple. It's 1% of the total metal value. That's the cost to store your product. So the average cost of gold to store would be based on 1% of the product and then divisible by 12 months. And you get a monthly bill for that. And that's just straightforward, fully insured storage, which is in your name. You can get an inventory report with your serial and bar numbers, and you can make changes to that by phone. It's very easy to do. And that means that liquidity is never an issue. And if you need it shipped out somewhere else in the world, we have storage options around the world. So for people who have a little more discerning taste and want a little more privacy, they may want to store their product in Cayman Islands. They may want to put it elsewhere, maybe in the US, or if you're a US listener and you want to store product up in Toronto, we have a lot of clients that do that. And then, of course, overseas, we do offer some storage options in Asia as well as Europe also. And so those accounts, John, on direct delivery and storage are very simple to set up. It's just a one-page form, some photo ID, make it deposit to your account, and then spend those funds. And it's as easy as could be. The next step in that option would be using the registered accounts. And as we mentioned, you can put gold and silver into those accounts easily. And ultimately we can do that. Very, very quickly. Takes a couple of days to set up. And if it's new funds, maybe 36 hours to get the funds into the accounts, but you can also use funds from other institutions. So if you've already invested money and you're with some other banking institution, you've got a fund inside of your inside of your TFSA or inside of your RSPs or LIRAs that isn't working for you, and you want to own gold and silver in physical form, just give us a call. Don't hesitate. We can put that in there for you and get that done also.
And it doesn't make any difference if you're using any sort of registered account. You still have the ease of liquidity and everything else. It's just you don't have to do any literally heavy lifting to take it at home, right?
That's right. If for those people that don't want to take it home and really just want gold and want to keep their premiums as low as possible, or silver, we could even take that a step further and put it into bulk bullion, as we talk about. There's a very good video on our YouTube channel about bulk bullion and an interview that we did with the CEO of Precious Metals International, our partner in bulk bullion accounts. But essentially what it is instead of you having to worry about paying the premiums or taking delivery of your product, getting real physical gold and silver into your account is what bulk bullion is all about. Keeps the premiums as low as possible, and it allows you to use your product as collateral to loan against in case you want to buy more product, or if you want to protect that dollar a little further and have less risk involved in your investment gold and silver. Another way to look at that option also. But all of these accounts can be found on our website. If you go over to deltaharbor.com, we'll talk in the next segment, John, a little more about the Delta difference and why gold and silver have been such fan favorites of clients at Delta for so long. And also, if they want to open up that account, the account opening process is right on the website, or they can set up a consultation. Very easy to do.
Really simple, guys. We'll take one final break and get into to more about how you can start this investment. If you're not familiar with these types of hard assets, it is high time you get educated, especially the way things are going now, post-pandemic for sure. And the easiest way to make a phone call, 1-888-335-8645, and online to deltaharbor.com. We'll continue Hard Money right here on Sauga 960. Hey everyone, welcome back to Hard Money. Darren Long is here every week educating you on hard assets, gold and silver, physical assets, physical metals is what we're talking about. 1-888-335-8645, simple number, and even a simpler website, deltaharbor.com, harbor with a U, because these investments and these hard assets are all about you. Want to talk about a little more about the accounts, Darren, and the Delta difference, because there's people attempting to do this, but not many doing it as well as you guys. Tell me about it.
Well, thanks for the vote of confidence, John. It's important that word of mouth spread, because that's how best a business grows, especially one like ours, which has been the case for us since we opened. But ultimately, on a personal note, we took everything that I disliked about the industry and flipped the switch when we built Delta and started Delta. So I looked around at our competitors, and I didn't want to be an e-store. First off, I didn't want to just be, well, you can buy coinage, but we don't really educate you about it. And there's 50,000 different types of coins and 50,000 different types of bars. And there's a myriad of reasons why not to buy those 50,000 types of coins and bars. I'll tell you them all, but I didn't want to be that type of company. So our partners got together and we said, no, limited amount of product, the product that's important for you to protect your wealth, and focus on that and be best at that. Part of that Delta difference is the fact that we pride ourselves on pricing. So although we have pricing on our website, which is just giving people a standard idea of what is going to be the cost of their purchase, we always work with our clients, all of them, to make sure that we get the most favorable pricing available to them. We look at our competitors all the time. I'm constantly making sure that I update the product we sell against their product costs, and making sure that we are lower in price. We give the Delta guarantee, which is that you are going to get our team, not just your broker or the person you spoke to on the phone, but anyone at Delta is comfortable in speaking about your account and helping you to understand these markets and what might best serve you. You are in self-direction when you come to Delta. We make you a champion as best we can of gold and silver knowledge, and we help you to understand the easiest ways to buy and sell that using the accounts that we mentioned in the last segment. And when it comes to the Delta difference, one of the big, huge differences we disliked about the other firms was you shouldn't have to feel like you need to ask to get the best price on an ounce of gold or an ounce of silver. It should be automatic. And so what we did was we offer something called piggybacking. So we go to our suppliers, which one of is the Royal Canadian Mint, and we said to them, quite frankly, we don't want to have a fixed price on our product. What I'd like to do is I'd like to bring bulk bullion to you as much as I can at any one given time and get the best pricing available. So in other words, it's not enough to just make a single purchase of, say, 200 ounces of silver, or 1,000 ounces of silver, or 10 ounces of gold, or 100 ounces of gold. We'll take 6, 7, 8 clients. And yes, some cases you might wait a day, but patience has always been a virtue for us. Yep. It's paid off for us in buying this way. And what it's meant is that now we're bringing a much more substantially large order to our supplier, and our supplier is thankful for that, in which case we get lower premiums, in which case the client gets lower premiums.
Sure.
And the way we set up our accounts, John, is always that the client opens up, and once they are opened, they fund their account. So their money's already there. It's waiting to be used and to acquire their silver and gold. And so when they go into buying, they can rest assured and know that they are getting this type of service. In addition to that, it's what happens after the operation that is most important, the follow-up, if you will. We like to think that there is a certain amount of information that is lacking in that particular area. What is storage? How does that look? What are my options after I bought it? What is the cost to sell product? All these are questions that are common to every client we have, but are very, very infrequently dealt with by other suppliers, other dealers like our firm. And so ultimately part of that delta difference is making sure that we hold the client, we hold their hand every step of the way, right up to the point that they no longer own gold and silver. They've bought and sold through Delta and are looking to move on to greener pastures. But ultimately, as they're here as a client of Delta, we like to think of ourselves as specialists, if you will, in hard assets. And in the near term, we'll be talking more about different types of hard assets that we're adding to our portfolio. Our clients will be involved in other projects and collectibles that will be coming down the pipe. We're going to be talking about other things like collectible spirits soon. That'll include wines and alcohol and all kinds of things that are very exciting during this time. And ultimately, we'll put this all together with our number one assets of gold and silver to create wealth for our clientele that is self-directed, that is excellent for their families, that does grow their wealth over time. And if you're watching and looking at these gold and silver markets right now, by darn, if you're buying and owning gold and silver right now at the front end of a super cycle, the price of gold is going towards $3,000 an ounce. Nobody is going to stop that, no matter what. If you want to be part of that ride, price of silver going to $100 an ounce, you want to be part of that ride, then get in touch with us. Use that phone number, get on that website and give us a call, because this is what it's all about. Working hand in hand with our client base, show them the Delta difference, stay with them every single step of the way.
It's really quite simple. You guys couldn't make it actually much simpler than that. And a reminder, these are hard assets. Darren's talking about physical gold and silver. You can you can do curls and bench press with it if you want. It's physical, heavy metal. It's yours. You own it. You can either store it at home, keep it at home, have it put in the vault, the Class 3 vault, which you guys use, several locations. So there's very little risk, and you can rest assured that you've got great product. 1-888-335-8645 and deltaharbor.com. And it's good to throw out there once in a while, Darren, that these are, because people aren't used to that. They're not used to that with their other investments, that these are actual physical assets. Everybody knows what it's like to hold a bottle of wine or have keys to a classic car. They get that. But it's just getting their head around the fact when it comes to gold and silver, you're doing the exact same thing, which is pretty cool when you think about it, right?
Well, I'll see if our post-production team can splice in a picture of me holding a 1,000-ounce silver bar. There is a couple that we do have that we could probably put in there. And when you see what it is and how heavy it is, a 1,000-ounce bar of silver is actually around 68 pounds, John. It's like carrying a small kid around. If you had 10,000 ounces, you're going to need a wheelbarrow. And ultimately, that's the kind of power that you're wielding with that. And people in the past have thought that there is a significant negative aspect to the fact that these metals are heavy. It's gone. We can transport this anywhere in the world. And although our courier services are not always happy to deliver these packages because they are quite heavy, it gets done. It's insured. It's done easily now. And buying and selling by a phone call, so simple to do. But ultimately, yes, John, these are physical, tangible, hold in your hand assets. And right now, with this talk of super cycle, with the talk earlier about inflation and being robbed of our purchasing power, with the possible idea that we have hit peak house prices, This is a moment where, as an investor, you want to investigate as much as you can when it comes to gold and silver to see whether this is for you. Do your due diligence, talk with the people you trust, and bring some initial questions to Delta to get a better idea of why gold and silver will be such great assets for you to own. Because ultimately, this is the time and place where, when these changing tides come and when we see the potential for threats to our economy, all of this debt that's piling up, and all of this lack of planning that goes into this poor fiscal management, this is the time when I want to, as an investor, be on top of my wealth, watching, paying attention, and owning quality hard assets. The rest of the world's already doing this. Central banks own gold all over the world and have been net buyers for 10 plus years. It's time for you as an investor to own these types of quality assets, make as much return as you can, as safely as possible, and still have a tangible asset to hold in your hand.
Well, safety is the key, in having the safety net, and you can't underestimate the power of the pandemic, which is still upon us. The COVID's still here. That's making things more unsure as well. So, again, to your point, getting hard assets that have been around for thousands of years as part of your portfolio is always a good move, right?
It is, and ultimately, this is why we do the show. This is why we bring it to the public. And we want people to challenge their norms. We want to break away from that mainstream thinking that there is only a handful of traditional assets that are of value to our wealth. Gold and silver, hard assets in general, this is the moment that defines whether or not we thrive and survive and grow our wealth, or whether we get caught in the proverbial you-know-what storm and see our wealth decrease and devalue. Let's talk more about it next week.
You bet. That's it for another week. Reaching out finally, 1-888-335-8645 by phone and online. Check out the website, do your research, have a chat, deltaharbor.com. That's Harbor with a U. And we'll catch you next time. Hard money right here on Sauga 960.